Abali Omanu, Kekuno Mere. How are you guys there? As for me, Adimma and Ahambo Sanusi and Abom Onye, spiritual healer or Nkuzi. Now that was me trying my best to learn Igbo language and greet you in Igbo language. And I was greeting you as in, how are you? Good evening, how are you? My name is Sanusi and I am a spiritual healer. Aha, Mbo. My name is Sanusi. Ahambo Sanusi. Abom Onye, spiritual healer. I'm still learning, right? Anyway, let's talk about IGWE. Now, why are a lot of us as spiritual healers from different parts of the world are learning about other different parts of the world? As in, I'm from the southern bit of Africa and I'm learning about the western bit of Africa, the spirituality from there. How come we are learning this? Remember, in spirituality, we are always exchanging knowledge with each other. We are the same way as we exchange knowledge, as in the living exchange knowledge with each other. Spiritually as well, our ancestors and other ancestors, deities from the southern bit, from the northern bit, from the eastern bit, and from the western bit of Africa are exchanging knowledge with each other as well. And sometimes you find that spiritually, there are spirits that work better in a particular environment, spirit that or deities that work better in a particular place, depending on what that place gives out. Do you understand? That's why you see that a lot of healers, we will travel around Africa, we'll be trying to learn as we go, as we grow spiritually, to learn different things, and we have sometimes to be in a particular spot to actually be able to attract or to be able to align nicely with that spirit. Now, for some of you, it will be like you going to the river, you're going to the mountain, you're going to in the cave, so that you can align nicely with the spirit of a particular kind of nature, depending on whatever spirit it is or whatever deity it is. Now, today we are talking about the Igbo tribe and their spirituality. Now, I am sharing the knowledge that I share, my ancestors or my spirits and the guides and the source are sharing with me spiritually. This is not the knowledge that I read about. This is the knowledge that I'm learning spiritually. As I grow, I'm being taken spiritually to other different parts of the world so that I can learn about these spirits, these deities, these entities, and how they work, and how we can use them, how we can align with them. Depending on where we are and depending on what we need at the particular time at that particular time in our lives. Right? Now today I'm talking about Igbo spirituality. Now we are talking about IGWE, the force that is IGWE. Now what is IGWE? I will be reading from my message from the spirit, and I'll share with you and I'll explain as I go along. Now I'm going to read as the spirit was speaking, how it started, how everything went, and what I learned. What I've learned, and how the spirit speak with us when it is introducing itself to us, or the spirits or the deities are introducing themselves to us. Right? Now, the greeting, the spirit, how it introduced, the spirit, how it was introduced to me through a song. The reason for a song carries with it the message of the spirit and what the spirit is all about, and how the spirit works, or how we attract the spirit, or how we call upon the spirit. Now, when it comes to singing, some of you knows that I am still in the practicing stage. My voice has not yet the illuminating beat of things, where when I sing, even you start feeling things. Now, I am singing using my own way that I can sing. And Meaning that what I'm trying to say here before you hear me is that do not judge how my voice is coming across to your ears. Use your spiritual ears so that you can hear me. IGWE. We are talking about IGWE, the force that is called IGWE. IGWE, take over. IGWE, take over. Now, imagine if my voice was that voice that when someone sings, you feel things. Now, it will be like, IGWE, hey, take over. Hey, IGWE. Remember that you're calling the spirit, take over. IGWE, take over. Now, from this song, IGWE, take over, we already know that when we are calling upon the spirit, that means we are calling the spirit to take over. We are not calling the spirit so that we can listen to it and we can hear it. We are calling the spirit to take over our physical body, everything about us, and the spirit take over and we become the spirit and the spirit become us. That's when we are calling the spirit to take over. IGWE, take over. When the spirit take over, it's no longer you, the physical living person, is the spirit taking over your whole body. Everything about you takes over and the spirit does what the spirit's supposed to do. That was the song, the introduction song. That was me as the person who is learning about the spirit to understand how the spirit works. That when the spirit comes in, it takes over. Even when you are calling the spirit, you're calling the spirit to take over. We got that. Now, who is IGWE? Who is IGWE? Here is the spirit expressing itself. IGWE na scary. IGWE na scare them all. Oh. People fear IGWE. IGWE come to help. IGWE come to protect. Oh. Now, the question comes again. Who is IGWE? Remember, the spirit was expressing itself. Now, the listener, that was me, I'm still asking, who is IGWE? Yes, I can hear that IGWE na scary. IGWE, like what it was saying, right? So, who is IGWE? I'm asking the spirit. This is a spiritual conversation, right? As I want to understand IGWE, so that I can come here and share the knowledge with you like I'm doing now. Now, this is IGWE expressing itself. This is the spirit expressing itself, the force expressing itself through me. IGWE will teach. Nigeria, here we come. That is the spirit that is coming from Nigeria. Remember, I am from the southern African bit of Africa, meaning that I'm from South Africa. So the spirit is coming to me and telling me where the spirit is coming from. IGWE will teach. Nigeria, here we come. We're going to collect all of them all. We're not going to scare people in South Africa with IGWE. IGWE will teach. Now, that was the spirit expressing itself. Spirit telling me that it is the spirit from the west bit of Africa, and the spirit is not coming to scare us in Africa, because obviously when you hear this for the first time as a spiritual practitioner or a healer, when you're hearing the spirit talk like this, the first thing you're worried about, oh my gosh, how am I going to even explain these things? Now the spirit is expressing itself and telling you how you're supposed to look at it, and we're not gonna scare people in South Africa with IGWE, right? Meaning that the spirit is not gonna scare me, the carrier, me, the host, with IGWE, right? And remember that what it was saying, we're gonna collect them all. Oh, because remember that this is the second time I'm getting in contact with a spirit from West Africa, from Nigeria. The other one was Ife. Now I'm getting Igwe, which is the Igbo tribe spirituality. The other one was Yoruba. This one is Igbo. Right? Now, the spirit continues expressing itself. We heard about you, Sanusi. Remember, we heard about you, Sanusi. Remember I was saying there that Ahambo Sanusi. Now the spirit say, we heard about you, Sanusi. Spiritually, they've heard about me, Sanusi. Now this is how they explain. You love to learn, which is true. I love to learn. You love to connect your people. We love seeing that. The spirit is acknowledging my work. We love seeing that. We love seeing hands joining together. We love seeing our people joining hands with each other. Repeating that. Remember that spiritually, our people love to see us together. Our people love to see us being united. Spiritually and physically, our people love to see us united. So that is why you see the spirits trying to connect us spiritually as well and physically, right? That's why the spirit always, when they're coming from different parts of the world, they will love us to be connecting with each other. Now, the spirit continue. Protecting each, this is the spirit IGWE expressing itself to me. Protecting each other's interest, continuous. No individualism amongst the people. IGWE will protect. IGWE will protect. That is the reason for IGWE. IGWE will protect. Now, here that was me questioning again the spirit so that I can hear more from the spirit. So what is IGWE? I still don't understand. What is IGWE? You learn from the people themselves. That is the spirit explaining now. You learn from the people themselves how they manage their IGWE. This one is very important. It's very important when the spirit talk like this. It's very important. Remember the song. The song was IGWE take over. IGWE take over. Now, when IGWE takes over, what IGWE takes over, how are you going to manage it? The spirit that takes over your body, how are you going to manage it? To bring you back to reality. The spirit, to bring the spirit back into calm state, because the spirit comes to protect. And when it's coming to protect, what the spirit does, this is the thing, the spirit said, IGWE na scare them all. Oh. Now, imagine now the spirit has taken over your body. The spirit is protecting you. How are you gonna manage the spirit? That is why they say the people will come and teach you themselves how to manage IGWE. Because this is a serious kind of spirit. It needs to be managed. You cannot just get IGWE and be calling IGWE take over when you are in trouble or whatever that you want IGWE to help you with, and then you don't know how to manage it. You become reckless. Because remember that the spirit will protect and the spirit will continue. If anything seems to be something that needs to be protecting you from, you are gone. The spirit is taking over, right? So the spirit will keep on taking over. And if you are operating with the spirit physically, imagine what other people outside are seeing when the spirit has taken over your body and is protecting, is in a protective mode. So it needs to be managed. Okay, so that was IGWE. So what is IGWE? That is me continuing to ask questions, because I hear the spirit saying that it needs to be managed. I'm continuing to ask, so what is IGWE? What does IGWE mean? What kind of force is it? Because remember, even as a host, even as someone who is learning from the spirit world, you need to know what you're dealing with. You need to know how to manage the spirit that you're dealing with. Now, IGWE explain itself. IGWE na fear nobody. Are you hearing me? IGWE na fear nobody. IGWE is not for sale. You cannot buy IGWE. IGWE chooses the path, or IGWE chooses its path. IGWE loves everybody. Very important. IGWE loves everybody. But IGWE will hate it when people are taking advantage over others. IGWE loves everybody, but IGWE hates it when people are taking advantage over others, meaning that IGWE will come to protect the vulnerable. That is IGWE. We are talking about this force, the protecting force, the spirit that comes in to protect. We are talking about the deities, for those who are still using the deities, the deity that comes in to protect. Right? Now, that is why it protects. That means IGWE, it is the force that protects. IGWE is the spirit that protects. Now, that is what IGWE is. Now, we will talk about, as people, how can we use IGWE? Using it practically with what IGWE says it does. But IGWE na scare all of them. IGWE na scary. Remember? But IGWE protects the vulnerable. But IGWE is not for sale. IGWE chooses its path. So that means IGWE chooses its own path, meaning that we, knowing that there is IGWE force out there, we can decide that now that you know that Sanusi been in contact with IGWE, you come to Sanusi to say, can you sell me IGWE? The force, the spirit IGWE. It doesn't work like that. IGWE chooses its path. IGWE is not for sale. That is IGWE. Now, this was just introduction. We will come again to talk about IGWE as we are learning more and more and more, and how we can apply the IGWE force, the spirit of IGWE, practically, because we need to be practical with this spirit. We can apply IGWE, the spirit of IGWE, on a day-to-day basis, as in practically. But this is a spirit that is there to protect. Meaning that when you've called the spirit, when it's taking over, IGWE will protect. Remember that when you're protecting, you're not going to protect like protecting and saying, sorry. Protecting means that you're making sure that it doesn't happen again, that you need to protect again. So protecting means, because remember, we are calling upon IGWE when the circumstance needs IGWE to take over. Meaning that the physical living person wants IGWE with its own powers to take over and do what IGWE does best. IGWE na scare them all. IGWE na scary. That is all I can talk about for now. We will talk about it when we go into the next thing about IGWE. This was just introduction about IGWE. And for those, the Igbo tribe, the Igbo speakers, please bear with me with the language and the way I've said I've tried to speak the Igbo. We are learning here. We are still the student in the spirit world. We are learning as we're going along, and physically as well. We are learning when we are being introduced to these new spirits. We are learning. We try as well to learn the language so that we can greet the people with the language that the spirit is coming from the tribe. So we're trying as well. But now for the spiritual healers, for the practitioners, for Igbo cultural people who love talking about these kind of things, the spirit world and stuff like that, the Igbo speakers, if you're currently using the IGWE, the spirit of the IGWE, the force that IGWE comes with, and you feel that you want to share more knowledge with us, you are allowed to. Please do share, because we are learning as well. As we are learning spiritually, we love to learn physically with others who are coming from there and who can share the knowledge as they are living it. Khanya.